Hi, welcome along to AFTV. This is the Stats Review Show brought to you by Profit Accumulator. Profit Accumulator, a way to earn yourself some extra cash every month. If you want to find out more about it, look for the link in the description. Click onto that right now. Of course, the game at the weekend, Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0-0. It's a very frustrating game. We're going to take a look back over it now. Just before we do that, I've got to send big condolences going out to Graham. Graham, who's supposed to be featuring on these shows now, sadly his mum passed away last week. Graham, our thoughts and prayers are with you at this really, really sad time, and looking forward to having you back really, really soon. We've got James here. We're going to go and take a look at that game. 1-0, James. It was a very... Do you know what? I think I was more frustrated when I watched it, kind of looking back at it, the game now. I remember I took my son to football at on Sunday, and a lot of the parents there were saying, Robbie, you did all right, man. And that was a close game and it could have went any way and you had chances. And I was kind of look back on it and think, yeah, I guess they're right. I mean, it weren't the normal beat down, but it was still frustrating that we lost that game.
No, it was. Football's funny, isn't it? Because context and recency bias are so important, but they're so contradictory. I think the reason we were so frustrated, because the last thing we remembered after that game was the last 25 minutes and Partey not coming on and the team seemingly not have a go. And there's definitely some stats here that we want to go into that I think address where really we fell short in that area. But when you look at Chelsea and Tottenham dropping points at home, obviously Man United have had a weak start. To still be fifth after Anfield and the Etihad and still have the second best goals conceded record in the Premier League, that's a good start, and the fact that we won the other three games as well sort of consolidates that. So it's one of those things. To be honest, I don't think we did overreact. I think it's frustrating to see a team and the players we've got not have more of a go in the last 20-25 minutes, but the game as a whole and the start to the season as a whole, I think we can be quite encouraged by, to be honest.
Now, you got some stats around the game, some interesting ones that you're going to throw at us. Yeah, we're
going to go into quite a lot of depth here, actually. But I want to start with sort of the blanket stat that's covering Arsenal with these away trips, and we've now gone 29 games without a win away from home against the Big Six.
That's disgusting.
I want to ask you this though, because I'm thinking it's bad. It's really bad. As a club, we should be pretty ashamed of it. But do we need to almost hit the reset button every time a new manager comes in and think we shouldn't focus on this figure too much because Arteta's only been here less than 12 months and it's a new process, a new regime? Is it almost silly of us to focus too much on that stat, or do you think as a club we simply should do better?
It's a shameful stat.
Yeah.
For a football club of this size, and obviously you're right. Arteta's only just come in. And he's had those two games pretty quick, right? But it hangs over him, and it hangs over every Arsenal manager. That is 5 years ago since we went to one of these teams and won, and that's simply not good enough. And every time he has a game away from home, whether it be Man United that's coming up, Chelsea, Tottenham, if he doesn't win one of those now, the pressure's on. And he's got to go away from home and win one of those because he's already not beaten City and who was the other? Liverpool. So those two are already gone. So, and I think if you're going to get into the top four, you really need to go away and take a scalp. Yeah. You have to, one of those big scalps. So pressure's on.
No, I agree. And Man United coming up, whenever that is, very soon.
2 weeks.
I think that's going to be the real test because that's a team I would consider on our level. If not, I think we've looked better in the last couple of months. So that's going to be interesting to see, and that's going to be the real test for me. I want to go into sort of our pattern of play because obviously we all said it, everything came through Bukayo Saka. I thought he was everything. He was not only the link between defence to attack, but he was the defence and he was the attack, illustrated by the fact that he had more shots on goal than any other Arsenal player. Our attacking thirds were split 42% down the left, 26% down the middle where Willian was playing as the false nine, and 33% down the right. Now, admittedly, watching the game, I thought it was even more down the left. Well, actually, before I ask you that, I'll go into a little bit more detail here. we got this lovely, I love this stat. It's basically a pass matrix. It tells you who's passed to who the most times. And I think what concerns me here is the imbalance in the team and the predictability of going down one side. So much so that Guardiola actually set them up to have Cancelo and Walker. He put 2 right backs basically to deal with our overloaded threat. Now, if we look at this, Gabriel passed the ball to Kieran Tierney, so that's left centre back to left back, 16 times. On the other side, David Luiz passed it to Bellerin 8. You've then got Gabriel into Saka, his left central midfielder, 6 times, and David Luiz into Ceballos 3. Now we're going to go into a few more of these later, but that shows me how focused we are on going down one side. Do you think there's just a predictability about us? Simply, we had no more ideas.
Yeah. No, there is a predictability about it. I mean, I don't know if it was a change in formation with Holding having to drop out just before the game. But then again, even when he's in, I notice it does still seem to be played out on that left-hand side, whether it be David Luiz out there, whether it be Gabriel who was out there, you know. That left-hand side seems to be the side we seem to concentrate. There is not enough stuff that goes through the middle, or on the right-hand side, but through the middle in particular. And, you know, the false number 9 experiment was a disaster because, as you could see, I saw the heat map for Willian. He wasn't even in the middle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's hardly spent any time. He's supposed to be a false number 9. I don't think that in the heat map he was even in the box.
No, I know.
I mean,
it was... it was poor. It was poor. I agree. And I want to focus on that left-hand side thing even more because we're going to go into the central midfielders now. Obviously, Xhaka was playing sort of the base of a 3 and you had Saka and Ceballos either side of him. So Saka passed the ball to his left-back Tierney 9 times and he fed the ball into his left winger Aubameyang 7. The contrary is Ceballos to Bellerin was only twice. And Ceballos to Pepe 3 times. And even more interestingly, Ceballos gave the ball to Tierney 10. So he's passed it to Bellerin and Pepe half the amount, only 5 times to his right-hand side than he did to Tierney, our single left-back. That doesn't feel right to me.
No, and then you start to realise why they're able to keep Aubameyang out of the game because they just concentrate on that side.
Yeah.
You know, and we're not getting the ball into Pepe, obviously.
They completely nulled it, and that's why. And I'm critical of Pepe sometimes. I'm glad you mentioned him there because I am critical. Sometimes I want more of him, but when you see stats like that, you think, how can he do much more? Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't get much better, I've got to say, for the front 3. I want to look at shots from our forwards now. Forwards on the pitch at the time were Pepe, Willian, Aubameyang, and then Lacazette and Nketiah came on as well. We'll start with Nketiah and Lacazette because, in fairness, they didn't have very long on the pitch, especially Nketiah. But they didn't have a single shot on goal. A single shot on goal or a single shot on target. Now, I think we could forgive them for the amount of time they had.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't long enough. But no service, that shows you.
Absolutely none, especially when we're chasing a goal late in the game. But this gets a bit worse here. Aubameyang, shots on target. How many do you think?
1 is the one the keeper saved.
So that was ruled for offside, actually. You're right, but that was ruled for offside. So
but it would have been onside.
It should have been onside.
It would have been onside when you look back on the VAR. So I'd give him 1 shot.
You give him 1. Well, Opta, because you are right, he was on. But Opta, because it was ruled offside, he's had none. And shots in total, none.
Shots in total, none.
Yeah. Willian, shots on target. That's including blocked shots, by the way. Shots on target for Willian, guess?
None.
None. Shots in total?
None.
None. Nicolas Pepe was our biggest threat. He had 3 shots.
He had that header he should have scored from as well.
And 1 on target.
Yeah. But and he's the one who's got the least amount of service. And
yeah.
if you've got your front 3 and they're not taking no shots, that tells you there's no creativity in the team at the moment. And this is a big issue that has to be solved quickly at Arsenal. No creativity. There's still a lot of people suggesting Mesut Ozil, you know, even off the bench. And when you see those stats, you think, well, there's got to be another plan to create. We can see why they were trying to get Aouar and things like that, but you know, there's no creation in this team.
I agree, and you know who I feel sorry for here a little bit as well is Willian. You know, a lot of Arsenal fans are getting on his back. I understand why. I actually think the way we play, it doesn't really suit him to play either with his back to goal or out on the right wing, because he's right-footed and coming inside isn't as simple for him. I know he played brilliantly at Fulham, but I'd actually like to see him on the left or in a number 10 with some pace around him. I'd like to see him in that
number 10. I'd like to see him in that number 10 position, picking the ball up, driving, having shots, trying to curl it from the edge of the box, playing in Aubameyang, playing in Pepe, playing in Lacazette. We've got to try something else now. I understand you've got to be quite conservative when you go away to Manchester City, but no shots from any of our front three.
Yeah.
Then you're then saying that the other two that came on, there was no shots from them. That is an appalling stat.
It is bad, and I think that highlights our frustration and why I said at the beginning of this show that I don't regret how I felt. Which, by the way, I don't think I was overly critical. I don't actually think anyone was overly critical, really. I think it was completely fair and justified. We didn't have a go against a team that were there for the taking. And just to really...
Stats back it up.
It absolutely do. And just to really hammer that point home, I'll show you here, it's going to come up on screen. Aubameyang's touch map, 1 in the box. This is meant to be the guy who... He's the finisher. He is the finisher. He's our goal scorer.
Just missed out on the Golden Boot last year, got the Golden Boot the year before. First quickest Arsenal player to 50 goals, and he's not getting the ball.
Look where he's getting it. Look at those touches right on the touchline. Now, we love Aubameyang, and we know sometimes he sort of knows what we're saying, and we adore Aubameyang, but he's a runner and a finisher. He's not a ball carrier. He can do it because he's a world-class footballer.
He's got to play down the middle, I think.
He's got to play down the middle, or at least be in a system where he's able to come inside a lot.
Someone's feeding him, he gets inside, and not being blocked off by two defenders. We've got this. There has to be a change in this. So I want to see Arsenal be more attacking now. We have become very. I understand it in these games, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. And also we need to be able to go into another gear. So, it's okay to go to Man City and be conservative. We were both for it because we saw what Leicester did, and actually a lot of people say, Leicester had a go. They didn't. They were actually just very efficient and they defended very well. So I don't have a problem with that. But I think when you go a goal down and there's 25 minutes left, you've got to have a different element. I want to go into sort of a different element of our game now here, because when things aren't working, I think you've got to have a plan B. And as I just said, you've got to go into second gear. If I look at our total passes throughout the game, 462. Which is actually a pretty good amount at the Etihad, and 84.6%. I think these are 84.6% passing accuracy. I think these are the things Arteta, he seemed quite happy after the game in terms of the performance. I think these are the things that will please him. To come and assert a degree of dominance is actually quite impressive. I want to look at our crosses though, because I always think, it doesn't matter what level of football you are, when you're 1-0 down with however long to go, you just put it in the box. Or I don't mean to sound, 20 years backwards about it. I just mean to say, you've got to mix it up and give people a different problem.
Create chaos. That's our
That's exactly right.
The West Ham game yesterday, what happened now? They've got back into that game. Cross into the box, own goal. Cross into the box again, ball gets knocked out, Lanzini bangs it in. Chaos being created in the box. We're not getting it, I'm sure your stat's going to tell us that.
Well, I'm really glad you brought up the West Ham game, because I've got stats from that game that I want to mention as well. Now, open play crosses for Arsenal, 3 in the first half, 4 in the second half. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, we don't have a natural striker who can head the ball. I don't really believe that. Aubameyang's proved he's good with his head. Lacazette's definitely no slouch in the box. Pepe was the only one who got a good header.
One of our best chances in that game came from a cross. Pepe headed it wide.
Exactly.
When he should have done better.
And the reason I brought up that passing stat there is because I want to look at Tottenham West Ham. Now, we know how the game went. Obviously, Tottenham started brilliantly, but West Ham were playing as well. They weren't, even though they're 3-0 down, performance-wise, I don't think they looked like a team 3-0 down. Now, West Ham in that first half managed 19, managed 9 crosses in the first half, 14 in the second half, so that's 23 throughout the whole match. And anyone who's going to tell me, well, that's what West Ham do, they have Antonio, will hear this. Their total passes were 459, that was to our 462, so that's only 3 less. and their passing accuracy was 81.5%, so they weren't even losing the ball as much. So anyone who's telling me that, you know what, it's backwards football and crossing into the box, it, you know, doesn't suit you percentages wise, I don't believe that for 1 second. I think there's got to be a point where you're putting the ball in the box effectively. They've got good crosses like Creswell. We've got Tierney who can definitely whip one in. And as you said, you just cause chaos. And West Ham got from 3-0 down, not 1-0, 3-0 down, got themselves back into the game by just mixing up, playing good football, getting themselves into good areas that we know Arsenal can do, but then just having something a bit more unpredictable, a bit different. I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, I've been saying for a few weeks now we don't have a plan B. Or it doesn't seem like we have a plan B, and I'm just hoping that we're going to learn from this. You know, I'm hoping that, you know, they're looking at the stats as well today at the training ground, and they're saying, come on man, we've got to mix this up more. We're not using that front three. And I'm looking at teams, you know, there's been a lot of talk at the moment about front threes, whether it be Tottenham's front three, Liverpool's front three, Man United's front three. We're not getting our front three, which I think we've got great options in our front three. We've got the options of, in attack, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Eddie Nketiah, Willian, Pepe and Saka. You could even put Reece Nelson into that. And we're not getting them the ball. We're not, you know, or they're not getting the balls in areas where they can hurt defences. We have a very, very good front three. But if they're not getting any shots off, then it's a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
So we've got to find a way, and we've got to have another plan. First of all, we've got to have a way of getting them into the game, and when they're not, we need a plan B, but we don't at the moment. It's still early days. I'm still hoping that Arteta's going to work on these things, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, look, I mean, as you know, we're going to do a breakdown show where I've got sort of some ideas on how potentially Arsenal can fix their attack going forward, and I'm going to say now, a bit of a spoiler, that I think the Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe front three is, I think it's an experiment that is time to end, if I'm honest.
The Willian one? No, you mean?
No, I actually mean,
Lacazette.
well, I think when we signed Pepe, there was this hope that they were going to be this front three. And at times it's worked, like in the Cup, for example, but I think long term, we should go for something different. But that's all from me on the stats. Those are the things I thought were the most interesting, especially just the amount we were going from centre to left and not really looking to mix it up, especially when Man City had Foden and Ake down their left-hand side, our right. And you'd think that's an error we could expose, and we didn't. So disappointing.
Are we, you know, just before we go here, right? Are we sacrificing attack now for defence? Because we're actually defending a lot better. We normally go there and we're getting peppered up, and we didn't. I don't really remember any chances City had in the second half. You know, and it was been the same really most of the season. Nobody's really been overrunning us, and we've been defending well. But has that come with the sacrifice up top? I mean, maybe I'm going to make you go away. Actually, I'm going to make you go away and look into that.
Yeah,
go away and look into that. Delve into the stats and see if you can find it. Because are we? And the other thing is, it's the elephant in the room. Do we need to bring back Ozil to create a bit of creativity in the team? Because a lot of people, I personally don't think he's got any pathway back. But a lot of people I noticed in the comments the other day were saying, Ozil, bring him back.
Something to think about.
Let us know. This video is supported by Profit Accumulator. Profit Accumulator helps you to earn extra money by doing something called match betting. Match betting isn't gambling. And when you do it properly, and I mean properly, you can't lose. So get involved right now. Click the link in the description and sign up to Profit Accumulator right now.